So one of the things that I want to do as a beginner course, I also want you to get an overview of how large language models actually work and what is the basic steps in implementing a large language model or implementing a machinery that is underlying a large language model. Now it's a very complex topic and it's a very involved topic, and I will be basically talking here at a very, very high level where I will be giving you the some gist of what are the basic steps that a beginner can understand what is happening inside the large language model development process. Okay? So we can take this overall process and we can break this overall process as 6 steps, where first is we have to set a goal for what is the task that we can enable or what we can do through large language models. Okay. So for example, this example I specifically set up is like if I want to create a large language model or a chat bot that is geared towards movie recommendation, then what could be the steps and how I'm going to be thinking about developing large language model which is focused on movie recommendation aspect. Okay, so the first step will be essentially setting a goal, and here the goal would be basically large language model for movie recommendation based on user preference. And this is the scope that first of all you need to define. Once you have defined the scope, what you do as a second step is you collect a lot of data which is relevant to this problem. So what we will do typically in this step is we will gather data sets of movies, including their genres, plot summary, cast, user ratings on various platforms, and also in some cases this might be proprietary data that we might be getting, right? For example, Disney and Netflix are also collecting user data based on the interaction on their platform, and that could be the proprietary data that they are collecting on top of the publicly available data about the for example, in the platform like Internet Movie Database or IMDb, right? That provides some information. You can take that information and you can combine that with your proprietary information that you have collecting, and you can create and collect a lot of data. Now, once you have collected a lot of data, what you need to do is the step 3 is you build your neural network. Okay. And here, what you do is specifically if you're building, the way the current large language models are built, or specifically the ChatGPT is built, it's based on what is known as a transformer neural network model, a customized transformer-based neural network model that is tailored and customized to the movie recognition. So in this setting, in step 3, you will choose a specific class of neural network technique that you will try to use to model the collected data that you have. Now, once you have built a model, the second thing that you will do is you will train your neural network model. Okay? So the training involves basically using the specific instantiation of the data that you have collected and running that through the model and adopting and training that model itself, right? So in this case, the large language model will analyze the data set that you have collected. In fact, it will go through each data point, learning the relationship between the movie attributes and the user preferences, and it will create basically an input to output map where the inputs are user preferences and output is like what are the choices or what are the movies that people have liked. So training your model is essentially the 4th step in this overall process of building a large language model for the specific case of movie recommendation purpose. Now, once you have trained your model with the data set, typically you will also fine-tune your developed neural network model. Now, it might be good enough, but fine-tuning to a specific application in a specific setting also improves the efficacy and the efficiency of the learned model that is there. Now, in this setting, what is the fine-tuning might be happening? After you have developed a neural network model, you might create an API and an application programming interface where you are passing and letting other people to interact with the model that you have and the output of the model that is out there. And based upon that, you are taking also input from the people. How is your model performing? And based upon that model, input from the people or different users interacting with the API could be also then used to fine-tune the model. In fact, what happens is, in the context of large language model, specifically in the context of ChatGPT, the primary model and the neural network model is basically combined with a reinforcement learning model, which basically takes the input from the user interaction and then it refines that reinforcement learning model, refines the basic neural network model or transformer model that is out there. So there is a fine tuning that is happening, and in case of ChatGPT, that fine tuning is essentially carried out by a reinforcement learning, which is also a specific class of a machine learning algorithm. So the fifth step is like, interacting with the users, getting their feedback, and then improving your model, trained model, for that specific task. In this setting, the specific task, as we are illustrating, is a movie recommendation, right? And finally, the sixth and final step is launching carefully. Okay, and what I mean by that is like you deploy your movie recommendation services, right, on the platform that you have, and you generate tailored suggestion, but you also monitor for biases, right? So as we'll see in the final lecture, that large language models are biased and they have some shortcoming. So we need to be also placing hooks where we can reduce the chances of these models being biased and so forth and so on. So this is the step which we are launching carefully and taking into account the user feedback so that the biases in the models are minimized. So those are at a very high level the primary 6 steps that are used to build a large language model for a specific purpose. And here the example is essentially movie recommendation. Now if you follow the step and processes, and if you collect the data, if you train all the models and you refine and launch carefully, then you will essentially have let's say an application program interface or an app that will be basically can be used for movie recommendation based upon user inputs and so forth, or users can interact, and that interaction could be geared towards suggesting different movies, finding different insightful things in the movie domain. Okay, so this summarizes what are the main steps of implementing large language models, and how does the large language models like ChatGPT really work at a very high level.